Are you sure that radiator isn't down?
Sorry?
Are you sure that radiator isn't down?
No, it's cold.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good thought there.
Right. Okay, it's not an awfully good print because I've got stripes going across it, but that gives you one idea. And I'll put this one up here because it's I think it's big enough for you to see properly, and the amazing colours on that. Now, you've probably come across Edward Lear and his little nonsense songs and poems. I'm not going to read one of those. However, you may not have come across this book.
No.
Edward Lear
Albania.
spent a wet summer, or I'm not quite sure if it's just the summer, crossing Albania in 1848. To put that in context, just after Victoria came to the throne, the black railways. Very few English people had been there. There's a little section in here with some of his things you might want to look at. But he painted that one of Jerusalem, and this one of not the treasury that Harrison Ford reaches, but the stadium of Petra, the Rose Red City. And it's probably dry most of the time, but in his time, and wet, it's beautifully green and lush down on the bottom. And
Link with Albania, Dave? Petra, Jordan, Albania, what's the link?
no link. So he went to Petra and Jordan after Albania.
Okay, cool.
And I have a link with Albania in that my father was one of the British officers running the gendarmerie for 10 years before the war.
I guess what you're telling us really is that there's things about, we have a particular picture of someone, and there's often a lot more that we don't know.
That's absolutely true. But anyway, so I've got a lot of connections, but I'm fascinated by Lear. He's known, in my view, for the wrong thing. I think he was a fantastically talented painter. And in a little tribute to his nonsense rhymes, I wrote this on Sunday. I call it Song for Edward Lear, but it's at the moment it's only a poem, but I have a feeling it could turn into a song. Song for Edward Lear. Edward was a big man, big in every sense, but he was hard of hearing and lacked some confidence. He joked that hens and larks and wrens all nested in his beard, but it was big and black and bushy, so perhaps they did. How weird. Although initially this might sound quite absurd, he had an artist's reputation for depicting pretty birds. The trip he took in '48, he hadn't really meant, but to avoid the cholera by happy accident, he went to see Albania in the rain. Now, at Berat, there is a gallery of paintings that he did. Well, fancy that. They thought that he was Satan, as they didn't understand. No one had seen painting that portrayed their native land. When he dropped an India rubber, its bouncing made them scream, and off they rode on horses through a deep and dark ravine. The lake goes on forever, well, at least to Montenegro, but our Edward couldn't find it till he dined on sherbet, so he climbed to Skodra Castle, where two rivers ebb and flow. It's where the vast plain stretches. We went there in the snow. He sketched the salt flat pelicans, the people, dogs and sheep, and up upon the precipice, their fortress and their keep. The palace of the Pasha had the view across the stars, the first man there from Europe, looking down on toy bazaars. Arriving in the south to check if drawing was allowed, the morning was mystiferous, with rolling mountain cloud. He went to see the governor in his fur-trimmed yellow vest, and saw the houses on the crags all painted arabesque. He recorded what the Romans and the Greeks had left behind, but some things which he reproduced you can no longer find. Argiro Castro Aqueduct was taken down for stone, as good King Zog had need to build his people many homes. There's an old bridge in Tirana, which you can still walk upon. He painted that, although the open setting now has gone. Today it's smoky traffic through an avenue of pine, but his murals in an old museum still look mighty fine. He sat above the stadium at Petra with his brush, the rose-red rooks above the river, then quite green and lush. And then to old Jerusalem he painted from the hill. Before all that development, you can see its beauty still. It's good to look today at things he painted. Have they changed? People may have come and gone, left landscape rearranged, but following his trail you can come across his name. At least the lakes and mountains look pretty much the same. The Owl and Pussycat's £5 note brought Edward later fame, but the canvas it was rolled in is now worth a greater claim.
Good stuff. Thank you, David. Very short and very original. Very well researched. Thank you very much indeed for that. Right, well, what I